Hi there, it's Rocket in here, and as usual, before I will start doing a storytelling, I just want to say hello, and I hope that you are doing well. So, anywho, my topic for today is about the Burros on Death Valley. Yes, this is my podcast, and it starts like this. So, over a period of time, we actually go through Death Valley, and that is before, say, before Vegas. And one thing that I've noticed in around town is that the many burros that is just floating around. What I mean by floating around, they're just all over the place. They could be crossing the street, they could be standing next to the highway, and they could be in the stream. And I wonder what is going on here, why there's so much burros in here. And if you do not understand, or yeah, if you do not understand because of the way how I pronounce it, it's actually spelled Burro. But because there's a lot of them, so I have to say burros. So that was like 2 years ago. I kind of like we noticed that, and even at night they walk on the side of the street or cross the street, and I wonder what is going on because they look like donkeys, but they are not really donkeys. And what I did was I did some research, and this is something that I come to understand as far as what do they look like. Well, if you have never seen one before, they look like horses with large head, long ears, and a cow-like tail. They can be a lot of variety in their color, which can range from black, white, brown, gray, and paint, and can be striped, spotted, or speckled. They are smaller than a typical horse and can range in size from 400 to 500 pounds. They typically will be seen together as mothers, and their offspring will form a long-term special bonds, while the male burros dominates, and they're very territorial, and they will either be with a female passing through or on their own. And like I said, they do have a lot of them in Death Valley, and they pairs through vegetation and stayed in permanent water resources, which is a great habitat for them to thrive in. Um, and though they do travel around, they will stay near springs for water and food. And what do they eat? They actually eat grass, shrub, and desert plants for an average of 6,000 of forage eaten per burro per year. They will often overbrowse the vegetation, especially near the springs. So they are kind of like they ruin the vegetation. And as far as how long they live, they're actually they since they have no predator, no competitor, or common disease which affects their longevity, they actually live up to 25 years. And they only give birth to one colt per year. And one thing that, when was that? Like Tuesday, we passed through the town, and I had seen, they are actually across the fence, or like they're in the middle of their feeding time. So I said, "Oh, this is kind of very interesting," because at first I was actually confused if they're donkeys or they are burros. But now that I have a better idea, after I did my research, I figured out that they're burros. So we passed through the same town this morning, and I told Rebel I really, really would love to do a podcast regarding burros. And all I need is a sign, because they usually have a crossing sign with a picture of a burros And we know that when those signs are actually, hey, we have to slow down throughout the town. So anyway, so I told Rebel, I really would like to see a sign of Burros. Within a few minutes, he goes, look, look, look. I said, what? They said, oh, you were talking about the Burros? They're actually in front of our vehicle. And if you notice, actually, it's a baby Burros and an adult. So it could be mother and daughter, it could be father and son, or it could be vice versa. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy when I said that I would like to see a burro. And I was expecting like a sign, or they're just going to be on the side of the road. But these two burros are actually in front of our vehicles. So the older burros went across the street first, and the baby just stopped in the middle. It's like doesn't know what to do, wanting to make sure that he or she will not run over by cars. But usually cars around that town, they really drive very, very slow because of these animals. Well, the baby burros actually look at us, and after that start galloping. It's like start jumping. That baby burros got so excited that he or she ran over into the back of the older burros. And I said, okay, this is pretty neat that I was not only see the sign, I actually saw an actual burro. And one thing that, but the number of burros that we had seen today and a few days ago was actually less. So I got kind of curious why is it that it is now less. Well, apparently, what they're doing right now is actually they're moving them away to a sanctuary where they do not, they don't, what they call one, they don't ruin the vegetation in a place, because apparently that's what they do. They just eat and eat and eat. But to me, seeing burros, that is something. And these are wild burros, by the way, and you just don't see one. You cannot approach one. You have to actually watch it from further distance. So this is my podcast for today, and as usual, this is Rocket saying, have a wonderful day. Bye.